David's
I'd
here
have
for
to
the first
cheat off
part,
your
you
book
know, right?
sometimes, cause I don't have it, so.
Oh,
you
you
don't
need
mind.
the,
It doesn't
oh,
really, you
I'll
just need
just
the
share.
card, you just really need the cards.
Yeah, the cards or
Yeah.
whatever.
That's fine.
and then you just need a piece of paper to give your ratings.
Yes,
Oh, you
I'll
have
write
it,
it.
yeah.
Probably no book.
Okay.
No big deal.
This is week 4.
4.
Yeah. Even though it's not truly week 4, but it's a week 4. Oh, yeah.
This is your story, Claire?
Yeah.
Oh, we still on the 5 minutes intro, so don't look at the abstract yet. Is there anything we need to warm up to? So do everybody know what their role today is?
Can you review those, Sharon?
So Claire's story, this was /me is moderator, and
Carolyn.
Carolyn, which is David today, is question/word. You're supposed to find a word, which is the sentence you're supposed to finish. Like nothing in blah blah makes sense unless without blah blah blah.
And then it's like, so the first 5 minutes we talk about thoughts of the past week.
Oh, about the shortly the thought of the past week.
Yeah.
This is a warm up.
So, are we just talking about like,
Thoughts.
yeah, just thoughts, like, just life?
Has anyone come across something in the last week?
That's
Amazing.
Last week.
So I was at a conference last week when I wasn't here, and I went to a lot of sessions that talked about messaging and kind of website presence and all that kind of thing, and how other organizations kind of tell their story in these little snippets through various media, right? So I've been thinking a little bit about that in terms of the IME and how we're gonna, whatever the story is, and I think we have some of it, but how it evolves, then how we tell that story through social media, through videos, through whatever, that, you know, et cetera.
Mhm.
So I'm excited to continue getting all these keywords. Like, I think that the word is important because we continue building on those.
it's the hardest, I think, the word. Yeah.
It is the hardest to boil it down. Like, the paragraph is easier in some sense.
Okay.
For the last week. I came across an interesting guideline somebody had written on how to write abstracts and how you should properly represent what you're trying to say as all these parts, and I was actually interested by the fact that it was missing some of these things that we've talked about a lot, like the conflict, obviously, which seems to be a recurring theme that people don't think about the conflict, and a lot of what they try to focus on, which I think is almost poor training in certain ways, is only speaking of how it applies to the world and like direct applications, and then what the results are without putting anything in the middle, which I think is the interesting part, and I think that's what we're learning in this sort of story circle. So.
I actually watched a piece of 60 Minutes story last Sunday. Did anybody watch that?
What's that?
Oh, it's
Barbara
not,
Walters?
no, actually it's not last week's 60 Minutes. I was watching a rerun of the
Okay.
early one. Talked about this astrophysicist who is today apparently is the guru of science communication in the United States. So he sold out like these 1,000 people auditoriums on a regular basis if he gets on the stage, and he just talks.
What's his name?
What's his name? Olson or something? But not Randy Olson. I'm thinking somebody else.
Is it Neil deGrasse Tyson? Oh, wait.
Oh yeah, so I think it's Neil.
Neil deGrasse Tyson definitely sells out.
Yeah,
places.
absolutely.
So he
He's
60 Minutes had
He's an
a
astrophysicist.
Yeah.
astrophysicist had a segment on that, and then he talked about his views of how successfully communicate science, which is sort of what we're doing here, is to boil it down to things or snippets people can relate to, and he think astrophysics is a not easy one to really, but he uses all his tools, the images, the language, or he uses a lot of these sort of confrontational, very quick way to really drag people into it so they're not boring. And so I thought that that was kind of fit with what we do. Of course, he's sort of already perfected this art, you know.
Yeah. Did you see his series at all?
No,
like
I-
Cosmos?
Cosmos, yeah.
Yeah, it's very popular.
Oh, we didn't get to clear. Do you have burning desire to say something?
Not really.
Okay,
No.
then let's get on to the writing analysis of the abstract. Number one.
Do we only have 2 this week? Or is it multiple pages?
There should be
Uh-oh.
5, right?
It should be more. It always should be 5, I think, isn't it? Because that's
Yeah.
where the 5 is. Let me talk to Chelsea.
We can start with the first
Yeah,
one.
do the first one.
So we're rating,
1 and 10.
okay,
10 is good. It's this.
got it.
Yeah.
But you guys can go watch that 60 Minutes piece. It's very interesting.
Interesting about the abstract too.
Yes.
Oh, yeah, it moved on. It didn't have a sound.
Yeah, we can mute it.
I think we made a beat.
Maybe.
Yeah. So,
Uh-oh. Since we don't have 3, we just keep on 2.
yeah, it's a long one, so.
Yeah, this is still at the hospital. he has a red eye, if you haven't any seen him. He has some autoimmune deficiencies that this time attacked his eye, so he needs to have some taken care of. When did this come?
I just.
She'll see it.
Yeah, she just.
Oh, I didn't see her. I was so concentrated. I'm like, this just
Okay.
appeared miraculously. Okay. So now I have to play catch up. wanna do the moderator, cause I did do moderator last week, you guys can
I
get.
can do moderator.
Go
I think
ahead,
I was
go ahead,
sort
you're
of
moderator.
assigned it.
So the key is to ask everybody number first without debating and then.
Yes. So what were your scores for abstract one? Claire?
Me?
Claire?
Okay.
I gave it a 5.
Yeah, Sharon?
I have an 8.
Okay.
I'll give it a 7.
7. I actually also gave it an 8. So to discuss it, I guess the low person was Claire by far. So what did you disagree with in this abstract?
I just thought it was, I mean, I didn't really, the therefore didn't really like leave me like wondering like what's gonna happen. I mean, it was just like sometimes some scientists are rethinking it, but it's just like, I don't know. I thought it could be better.
Okay. Novia, on the opposite side?
I thought it had ABT, but the T was more of a threat, the T, like it wasn't
Yeah.
there, and it reads like a news article, so the therefore, to me, is the first sentence, that it's in danger of shutting down.
Yeah, I think this is
Yeah.
like the T
It's
is at the
reversed.
reverse,
Right.
that's what
Yeah.
I'm saying, that's more of sort of journalism type of ABT structure.
Right.
Yeah. And I kind of read a tiny T as well.
Yeah.
Like, you know, that was the questionable part, but I thought it read very well.
Mhm.
So, any other thoughts? Oh, did we spend 15 minutes?
Yeah, we were supposed to just continue talking about this or
Okay.
anything else.
Yeah. I think it had several A's in there that could be maybe organized a little better. So it's like keep running, you know, the new government did this, and it did this, and it then did this, and then now they're not doing this. So it's well written enough that you can overcome some of the confusions, but it could be better organized. That doesn't have all the ingredients, it's just like a Chinese stir fry.
It's all mixed up.
I thought it progressed pretty well from introduction of like what it is, from like government, and then running into debt and having cost problems and having to deal with not losing all the specimens, so.
Oh, you know what, I was really confused about this is really have nothing to do with ABT, is it says their private funding model is based on contract with drug company and other corporations,
Mhm.
but in the front, it says right away, the government pulled some of the government contracts. I'm
Mhm.
like,
Yeah.
okay. Anyway,
Yeah. So abstract 2, Claire.
I gave it a 4.
a 3,
Give it a 3.
I gave it a 4.
not so
So-
much difference.
No.
It's just a
So,
lot and.
Sharon,
Yeah,
Low.
it's just low is because I was really have a hard time to find the T. Because there's a little bit of, I'm trying to make a little bit, but I'm not even sure there's but.
Yeah, I read the rather, the reverse is true, levels of certain, blah,
Right,
blah, blah. Like
right.
as a, oh, this is a possible but.
But, right, and
My
it's-
note said mostly A.
I didn't really get it.
Yeah.
I mean, like 4 lines of listing
Yeah.
what types of polychlorinated biphenyls and
Yeah.
all sorts of
Yeah,
herbicides and pesticides is
Yeah.
way too much.
yeah. But the rather, like Novia is saying, is trying to be a but then they didn't really follow through.
Yeah, it's not doing a very good job.
Right, so it's like, oh, that's interesting, but then what does that mean? What is the therefore, right?
Mhm.
So we're pretty much on the same page, even the spread is pretty thin, 3 and a 4.
And they end it with a sort of like a standard disclaimer type sentence, right? Like,
It's weird.
everything's within the safe levels for the US. Like, is that the point?
Yeah, yeah,
Was
what
that
is the
Was that the
point?
point of this? I'm
Yeah.
not sure.
Yeah.
I wanted to score it lower, but I think I'm often harsh on these kind of things. I mean, I started reading and just wanted to be like, no. I'd be worth it.
Yeah. have anything else to say? There's not much to say when
No,
everyone's
and that one is pretty agreeable, it's that written piece.
Yeah,
Sounds like it's coming from an EPA report.
Yeah, it's a very technical.
EPA report would just read like that. I mean, it's just absolutely horrible.
And I wonder if this is one of those cases where this is what they want. They don't want this
Yeah.
really to tell a story, right?
Yeah.
This is supposed to just be, and here's
Lay
what we
out the
found,
facts.
and.
Yeah.
and I guess in that case, you might be looking for all these various pesticides and herbicides.
I'm sure the toxicologists read this with very high interest, but that's the only group who will read this with a very high interest. The rest of people just like, oh, who cares, why we carry it, and nothing was said, you know?
It's easy to scan if you're, I can imagine if you're a toxicologist and looking for a specific thing,
Right,
you can like easily scan through and just go, oh, there's my information.
right?
Yeah. Abstract 3, Claire?
I gave it a 7.
I have a 9, I like this one.
Aaron gave it a 9.
You have an 8.
8. I give it a 5.
Oh, no, David and I are the opposite side.
So, in my opinion, I didn't like the but very much. I liked the therefores, and I thought they had a good setup and it read well, but I didn't feel the conflict very much.
Huh? I thought the but came early.
Yeah, it definitely was early.
Yeah, so it says a little is known, but here we demonstrated, they didn't say but I thought that was a pretty
Yeah.
clear but to
Yeah.
me. That's why I thought, I had a problem read through and I couldn't really have any reason not to give them a high score. It's not perfectly written, but to me, the structure was clear, so far, that's why I gave 9.
Yeah, I was between an 8 and a 9,
Yeah.
because I thought, well, it's, like, to me as a non-scientist, like, I don't wanna read this. This is,
Yeah.
like, I'm not, this isn't making me interested in it, but it does have, like, I think it could be the words
And
they're
follow it,
using
yeah.
could be different, but still, there is ABT, I feel like it's
Yeah.
very clear, so if we're just judging it on that,
Yeah.
it gets a high score. If we're judging it on, like, readability, low score.
Maybe that's where David comes in.
Yeah.
I think the therefore could be better. I mean,
Uh-huh,
the stem cells can be generated, but like they could include some like broader implications.
Yeah, yeah.
I mean, there are, I guess, so maybe it would leave the reader like going like, whoa.
yeah.
But
I kind of feel like they just kind of like beat the therefores too, because they were like, first we make the cells, and they're like, oh, now we're implanting them into mice, and it's like, we haven't even mentioned mice
Yeah.
or that we're using it for that, which I guess kind of goes with your like application
Yeah,
sort of thing. It might have helped more to have an expansion on what you're actually trying to accomplish.
yeah.
Because otherwise, it just seems to me like they're just naming out all these experiments that they did
Yeah.
and what worked, and that's fine, but it doesn't really lead to anywhere. Or just like their sentence, unexpectedly, Nanak was dispensable. It's like, okay,
Oh yeah, that was random.
Mm.
that's not really like a major conflict in this
Mhm.
study or anything.
I'm wondering if we can have an average scores of all these sessions that Randy run, let's see how we strike the medium. Are we more critical, or are we more linear, or
Yeah.
are we just crazy, you know? That'll be interesting when he run enough sessions, we'll be getting these statistics, will be interesting to see who
Yeah.
scores, you know? And it would be nice to run the science versus non-science people.
Yeah, that would be
Yeah.
interesting.
Okay.
Abstract 4, Claire.
I gave it a 9.
Oh,
Sharon?
I have 7.
Novia.
Between 7 and 8, I'll go with 8.
I gave it an 8 as well, actually.
Oh, I'm the
Um,
most critical
So
one.
Sharon, what did you dislike about it?
Yeah, so you can see how I write it. I have A, dot, 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 and then B and the T. So they do have ABT, but seems the A just kind of pile on, so how unfortunate he was. And then everything else on top of that, and he, you know, you feel this guy was just falling down and down and down and down and down. So the A just dragged it a little long than I liked, but truly he does have. And then, well, the last sentence is combined the both but and the T.
Claire.
I liked it a lot. I mean, it's just like his life officially begins to suck, and you're just like, oh no. And then, yeah, the last sentence, the B and the T are combined, but I thought it was very concise and it forces you to think like, oh, this is gonna be pretty interesting.
I was gonna say, I think the BT leads to a strong cliffhanger,
Yeah.
Yeah,
which I thought worked well.
yeah. Maybe I just don't have the patience. I'm like, come
No,
on.
I had the same, I wrote it, too much A.
Yeah, just A, BT.
Yeah, B and T weren't strong enough, but it does have, I think, all three.
Yeah, it does.
It's certainly written well, easy to go through, 'cause
Yeah, it is. It is well written.
maybe because it's not science heavy.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Life stories are always a much better read than the science things.
Yeah.
I think science stories can be compelling, it's just the way that they're, I mean, these are, some of the ones we have here are obviously taking from very technical,
Yeah.
you know, technical reports or,
I think it's extremely interesting to be able to tell a science story like you tell a life story.
Yeah.
You know, I think that would be so cool.
You
Like-
should certainly use more of that.
like Abstract 3, I can imagine a little bit what the life story version would be. And I would like someone to write that, because I think it would be very interesting.
Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely.
Definitely.
The good thing about IME's professors do is a lot of them are actually have pretty practical implications if you think about it.
Right.
And much more so. Yeah.
Yeah, I'm surprised by how much even very theoretical things though can have that sort of story if you know how to frame it
Yeah,
correctly.
exactly.
But certainly we have a lot of things that make it easier in IME to represent in that way. So I guess we'll move on to Terminator.
Oh, yeah.
Claire?
I gave it a 6.
I have a 5.
Novia?
3.
I gave it a 6 as well. So Novia,
Mm-hmm.
you were critical of this sentence?
Yeah.
How did
This
you
is the
feel?
sentence.
I just see mostly description to me. I don't know. A human looking indestructible cyborg is sent, assassinated waitress, unborn son, wild search from that war. It's like, we're going to tell you 3 stories, and these are the 3 stories we're going to tell you.
Yeah, that's true.
It doesn't
Yeah.
really tell you like
I was
that.
choosing between the 5 or a 6. I just gave it a 6 to be generous. But I just thought it was average.
I was kind of the same.
I mean, I guess it
actually
could-
wrote the 5 and then turned into a 6.
Yeah.
It connects them together, right? It
Yeah.
tells you the relationship between them, but it doesn't give you like,
That's
so
true.
what?
That's true.
Why do I care about this?
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. I guess there was a little bit but into it, but it didn't really full flash out, you know.
I mean, I think
The
I kind
conflict
of-
is between the assassin and the soldier who's
Yeah.
protecting the same object and kill the same object, but still it doesn't have a T, you know, so.
I would say it gets kind of a clear AAB,
Yeah, it's a.
but the problem is, I guess it's jumping through time. So-
That too.
You know, it kind of makes it hard,
We're very sequential.
which is maybe why I was more generous, because knowing how the story works, like it's a pretty good way of trying to summarize it up
Yeah,
into a single
condense it.
sentence.
I mean, so sometimes I'm really wrong on these, and I'm wondering if this one, if we were putting it in like a simple and but therefore format, like, you know, the first sentence and then it would be, but whose unborn son will lead humanity is therefore soldier is sent to protect her at all costs, but that seems so contrived to me.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know if that will work.
So I think that's why I gave it a low score, because I was like, putting it in the and but therefore seems contrived.
Yeah.
I just thought it was average.
Yeah,
I
because that's
also-
really not a but, to be honest.
No, it's not, that's what,
Yeah.
okay, I just
Yeah.
wanted to check myself.
Yeah. You might have the conflict, like I said, why a soldier, that's almost to me a but, but I still lack of the T.
Mhm.
That's why I wrote A and B possibly.
I'm also always biased towards short things.
We already
I've
know
said
that.
many times.
And even shorter ones are tended to have one additional point from David.
Yeah. When you've seen as many way overwritten ones as I have, you start to appreciate anyone that can
Right,
make one sentence
right, right,
concise
right.
and meaningful.
That's true.
Claire's seen that and will be working the job for a few weeks.
Good.
Okay. So what is the central question?
This is about the story, right?
Yeah,
No,
now we have to go to the
Yeah.
story.
Okay.
which we haven't
So
read
read the
yet.
story first. Is this real or just you cooked up?
That was real.
It's real, okay, good. I'm looking for my cars, that's what I was looking for.
So who has the question?
I'm the question
You're the
person.
question? Okay.
The question person, but I was looking for my car to see what I need to do as a question person. Okay. Because I see, that's what the beauty of switching rules, because I haven't done the question yet.
Story.
And the question and the word is combined, right? So question first, the word second. So what is the question about the question? I was looking for this. Who had the question last time?
It's, okay, I'm the story, this is the moderator, Carolyn is question
Oh,
number.
we can't ask for Carolyn, but down. Okay,
I think you just do the word.
let's just do the words then. Let's do the word. Yeah, I don't know what this
So
question.
we'll just follow this, or I don't
This
know
template.
why.
Yeah, the card has the word, okay? So the word is this nothing in quantum, what is it? Nothing in electron, oh, nothing in energy transfer, excitonic energy transfer makes sense except in the light of electron correlation? Would that make sense?
That makes sense.
Say that again,
I
Sherry?
like that.
Yeah, so nothing in excitonic energy transfer makes sense except in the light of electron correlation.
I like it.
Is there another choice? Nothing in theoretical modeling, whatever this modeling. There are a couple modelings make sense except in the light of more efficient electron transfer or whatever.
It's supposed to be one word though, right?
That doesn't need to be one.
It doesn't have to be one word.
It's
It's a
word or
phrase,
phrase, yeah. I mean, if it is word, that's fine, but sometimes scientifically you just can't.
They're both one idea.
Yeah. Is there another way, Arthur?
I liked what you said.
Okay.
Yeah, that was what I was thinking.
Okay. Oh, that was easy. What's the central question? Well, the central question is what it is, what makes more efficient
Yeah.
cytonic energy transfer, right? More efficient energy transfer. Okay. Okay, sentence, who's
This
sentence?
is me,
Okay.
alright. Will we get these beforehand in the future?
I was thinking that would be better.
I emailed it to Chelsea and
Yeah, Chelsea-
Johanna on,
yeah.
like Monday.
I said it's not your fault, I think
No,
it's.
no, no, yeah.
Oh, should I forward it to everyone? Or?
Yeah, next time we'll just
Forward it to everyone.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. So I think your first paragraph actually does a good job of getting to the and the but, right? And then the therefore comes at the end. So, the and is, there's been increased research focus and interest on quantum mechanics. But there is a general lack of consideration for the role of electron correlation. Therefore, no, that's wrong.
Try it again.
Yeah, I tried to put the a, or
So-
like the but, and like the however, yeah, and then
I think
therefore was the.
Furthermore.
I think the and might actually be there's an increased research focus and interest, and there's a general lack of consideration, but here we analyze the effect of strong electron correlation. Therefore, this increased understanding,
There
creates a
is
clearer.
greater understanding.
Okay,
Yeah.
so we could look at it
Yeah.
like each paragraph.
Right,
Yeah.
there arises a greater understanding. Therefore, there is a greater understanding. I think we would want, but strong electron correlation shows that
Okay,
blah, blah, blah.
Yeah.
Therefore, we have a greater understanding of
yeah.
I would agree with that.
the role of photovoltaics or whatever.
Nice.
Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Okay. What do you think, Sharon?
Yeah, I think so. I'm trying to come up with, I always try to say, that makes sense, for sure, but I don't know if there's another way to hold on.
I'm sure there probably is another way, so.
Because to me, the second paragraph has and in it. So you have a experimental base to look at the strong electron correlation, then you have a calculation base to look at the same thing, and so it's like A, B, B, and T. Right? It's okay. It doesn't need it to be A, B, and T. It can have to be,
Yeah.
yeah. But we use both methods to look at the strong electron correlation, and then we find out how that can be more efficient. That leads to new materials.
Yeah, basically, I mean, you can boil it down to something very,
Right,
very simple,
right.
right, which is
But it's still, it is
a lot
A,
of research.
B, and T.
Yeah, a lot of research has been done, but
Yeah,
we,
use these two methods and.
but if we look at strong electron correlation, we see that
Yeah.
X is true, and that would be the X is
Okay.
the therefore. Right?
Yeah.
Mhm. Good,
Yeah, I don't know, that can be organized, I think that's the only way that
yeah.
it really connects through the whole thing.
I mean, you could say it a different way, right? So if you were showing
Yeah.
the Little Red Schoolhouse method, it would be,
Yeah.
a lot of people think that this is the only way to look at these. However,
Okay.
I'm presenting
Yeah.
this problem,
Yeah, that's okay.
right, which is that
So general.
we haven't looked at strong electron correlation, and I'm posing that this is the method that's actually more efficient, or whatever,
Okay.
right, the argument's gonna be, and then the argument, and the therefore, which is,
I like it.
therefore this is better, or
Yeah.
this leads us to new technologies.
Yeah. Yeah, I just.
I'm so ingrained in that Little Red Schoolhouse method that I can't, I have a hard time with this template.
It's a good method. But they're both good methods.
They're both good methods,
Yeah.
and they're similar.
Yeah.
But Little Red Schoolhouse is less of a template
Oh,
Yeah.
yeah.
than this is.
Yeah. So I was looking at the card, there was DHY, we haven't really found too many DHY, which is over narrative. So if you look at this, so this is a simplified and no narrative, this is the right amount of narrative, and the DHY is actually over narrative. Do we have an over narrative abstracted today? I'm trying to.
It's a lot of buts, it's just but.
Yeah. Yeah, we didn't have a lot of but.
I feel like abstract 4 was verging on that for me, because it
Yeah.
was posing like, oh, and this happened to this guy, 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 like.
Could be, that could be a DHY, that's why it
Yeah.
gets like a 5.
But I think the DHY stands out because you're doing like double negatives. You're flipping multiple times, so you're
Uh-huh.
having like a despite, so you're doing like, you know,
Therefore,
there's a situation,
furthermore.
but we're doing something else. And then however, like, but besides that, we're doing something else. And then you say yet, like, but besides all of that you're now thinking, we're gonna go back on that.
So you have like 5 arguments going in there.
Yes,
In
and I think
circle.
that's where it gets
In circle,
overly
yeah.
narrative, because now you're trying to turn the tables with every sentence,
Yeah.
as opposed to a narrative where you have the setup, flip the table, and then
Just get to the
Yeah.
end.
resolve the whole thing.
Yeah,
So yeah, I don't know that we've hit it.
we haven't,
much.
yeah, that's why I was
We
trying to.
can work
research.
on that.
We can write a story, just has the over narrative.
Yeah.
I don't know if that's easy to do, intentionally do a DHY story.
I think a lot of writers in, probably in the humanities and the social sciences, I'm gonna just say in the social sciences. No, but in both humanities and social science, do that a lot, because they
Yeah.
are trying to make everything, cram everything in, you know, and I would think also that a lot of students, when I was teaching, a lot of students would do that,
Yeah,
and it
that's
was
what I
like,
was
you
gonna say.
couldn't read it,
Yeah.
you know.
You kind of have these different sides of the spectrum, because scientists tend to be on the AAA, and then I think the humanities side, you tend to do DHY.
DHY,
Trying
yeah.
to bridge them together.
Yeah,
Yeah,
that's pretty interesting.
When you can't choose a topic, it's like always the student that's like, you need to pick one.
Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, that's true, I think that's a good insight. Okay, so the next thing we were supposed to do the paragraph? Oh, I haven't got there yet, that, well, so it's this circle thing, David, that the paragraph is this heroes in the ordinary world run into some life-changing events, got a conflict going to the bottom of the morale and come out stronger back to the ordinary world is this 12 circles.
Okay.
Who was doing paragraph today? That's me. No wonder I was going on it. Is it? No. Wait, are we on week 3?
We're on session 4.
No, on session 4.
Or
So
week 3,
Claire-
well, we're going by week 3, so, because you guys did week 4 last week.
Yeah, cause we like,
Yeah.
cause we.
So I should be doing the sentence, so why would Novian do the sentence? Oh, we flipped our
Oh,
rules.
maybe I was looking at week 4, yeah.
Yeah, that's
Sorry.
okay. So now you did the sentence, I'll do your part.
Okay.
That's okay. So I'll do the paragraph. The paragraph, the
Because you did the
hero-
question in the word, right?
Yeah, I
Which
did.
is for week 4.
Yeah, but I was doing that for.
Anyway, go.
I'm so
It doesn't
confused.
matter.
It doesn't matter. Doesn't matter. Doesn't matter. I was doing that for Caroline actually, so that's what it is. Okay, hero. Hero in the ordinary world.
Who was that? Okay.
Just knock on your door.
Okay, so the heroes will be,
I have a question for you. So,
So who's the hero of this?
the board would be here.
I think it's the strong electron correlation, right?
Yeah.
The board is.
That's like the changing.
They were proposing.
but that's, the lack of consideration of the law is the low point. So that can be the hero. The hero has to be the excitonic energy transfer. This is like the main character. And since the lack of understanding of the law of electron correlation, the hero is in the bind.
That's the flaw.
That's the flaw. Yeah. Okay. And then hero have to pull through using these experimental dimers and the calculation. Now hero figure out what are the cost-effect relationship between the molecular structure and the efficiency. So now hero is coming out much stronger because I know what to look for. Therefore, hero is happy again coming out into. Does that make sense?
It makes sense.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
That is interesting because it also gives me ideas of how to change the title to make it more exciting.
Yeah, how?
Yeah,
Right?
it's just,
So if the hero is the excitonic energy transfer,
Like the new and stronger,
the new and improved.
excitonic, or more excited, excitonic energy transfer.
Excited, excitonic.
Excited, more excited,
Yeah.
excited, excitonic transfer. Well, or the law of, or strong electron correlation raises the, one of
yeah, I was thinking like the role of excitonic energy keep in mind, I don't know what all these things are, right? So I have a vague idea. I did terribly in high school physics, and that was the last time I took physics, so. But it's an interesting way to make the title first before you
Yeah.
actually write something,
Yeah.
and to think about what are all the keywords.
Yeah.
And then how do you, so saying
Yeah.
something like excitonic energy transfer, the role of excitonic energy transfer in creating
the law of electron
more energy
correlation.
efficient
That would draw someone in. more.
photovoltaic
Yeah.
cells, right? So you're
Yeah.
giving them
Yeah.
the sort of teaser of the
Yeah.
conclusion of the
Yeah.
therefore,
The hero and the goal.
Yeah,
Right.
yeah,
Yeah.
so that can make it a better title, that's
yeah.
true.
And then
Once we
people
figure
go-
out the hero, that would be,
yeah, oh, I wanna watch, I wanna go to that talk.
Exactly.
so
So-
change it to similar.
I do have a question in this paragraph template. Where are the stakes getting raised? I can see where we have a flawed character in ordinary world, the catalytic events of these new
What the
strong
stake-
electron
The
correlations.
stake get raised because the heroes can go any better without understanding the rule of electron correlation, right? You're sort of in the dark, trying to figure out how to make a more efficient material.
Well, I feel like that's the taking stock, right? We're looking at what we have, and it's not quite there. So you take action. But then there should be a but when the stakes get raised. So we're gonna do this new method. So are we raising the stakes once the method is there?
I think though we would need,
Could add a sentence after however, or,
like what's missing here, right, is the and of how you got to this,
Mhm.
right, the sort of
Okay.
process.
yeah.
Or
And I
the
would-
conflict in the strong electron correlation problem?
Right, I think the stakes would get
Okay.
raised with a sense of the process of,
Yeah.
Unless you do this, you're not going to figure out, how
Right. I
does the
mean,
rule of
It
this.
presents the problem well, and we see the reason why, but then we just have the solution,
Yeah,
and it's
that's
there.
true.
Yeah.
There's no
There's,
middle conflict, which
Yeah.
could be raised a little bit,
we
you know?
can make it better.
Yeah,
for
because the
instance.
stake is, it's not a easy way to study the electron correlation, right? So we have to go about, do these two things, theory and experiment both sides,
Right.
to trying to get to where we want to go.
Okay.
And that might be where the
Stakes are
stakes
Or if there was
are.
a conflict between
Yeah.
those two
Well,
theories.
you can always say it is, well, the lack of the understanding is because it's just not that easy to figure it out,
Mhm.
it's either for the limitation of the tools available, or the computation powers, or the model, or
I could
whatever.
talk more about that.
Yeah,
'cause
so-
It was, okay, yeah.
So, I mean, that's where the stake gets raised,
Okay,
is like,
yeah.
it's not like
The
people don't
struggles
wanna
with-
do, they wanted to understand,
Mhm.
but they couldn't because of these things. But also, if you don't understand this, the next generation of materials will not be able to develop the rationally, you just basically depend on serendipity to discover the next
Mhm,
best,
right.
you know,
Well, and I
thing.
guess so, part of the question and the broad picture of this is why were they not using strong electron correlation before? Like what was the,
What was the limit?
like
Right.
why,
Yeah,
there must have been some reason, either computational
That's
limit
true.
or like it wasn't
yeah.
figured out yet or something like that, and that's
Yeah.
the narrative part that's
Okay.
missing here.
Yeah, I feel like there's that missing in the first paragraph. I mean, it doesn't have to go in the first paragraph, but
Yeah.
like in the first part of like, it hasn't been studied because of this,
Yeah, yeah.
and so here's why we need to study it and how
Yeah.
we're gonna study it. And then in the last paragraph, you talk about comparing the different rates of excitonic energy transfer. There arises a greater understanding, so with this increased understanding, so this
Yeah,
increase,
that could
you've
be
like sort of
emphasized.
With overcoming the
overcoming
barrier.
this barrier, we can now,
Right,
so if there's like
exactly.
more information there about why that's so hard.
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah. And so it is a common problem when you write the scientific papers, at least in the material and chemistry side. They always say, oh, these things are not known or haven't been studied, but they never really say why they're not known or why they're not being studied. You know?
Or what the failures were, like you say,
Okay.
so-and-so and
Yeah.
so-and-so studied these but failed to come to a
Right.
significant conclusion
Yeah.
because of blah, blah,
Yeah.
blah. I'm changing the study by doing this small thing,
Yeah.
and this is what I'm contributing,
Yeah.
right?
Mhm.
I like it.
Yeah.
Which overcomes this
Yeah.
problem, right?
Because like if you think about my thesis, we're trying to understand this enzyme, which is a 2-ion, this is a monooxygenase. By the way, the active center of that enzyme have 2 iron atoms plus some sort of oxygen bridge between the iron. So for years and years, people trying to say, is it a double bridge? Is it a single bridge? Does the iron has charge or not charge? So there's so much debate going on. It's all because we couldn't crystallize the stupid protein for one. And then my job is actually to build a synthetic model to mimic the protein active center. So you do spectrum, see if they match. But also my crystal structure, because the oxygen is oscillating so fast, it doesn't get the better resolution. So the computation limit is always for years being the limit factor, that we couldn't figure out what's that's 1 ion, 2 ion, or 1 plus or 2 plus. And then eventually somebody crystallized, Amy Rosensberg from Northwestern, my fellow graduate student who crystallized that. That's all she did, an entire PhD thesis, crystallize that protein. So now we know what that bridge is. But it is a technology limit for the fact that people couldn't crystallize protein is why they didn't
Well, and I
study.
think that's why it makes it interesting. 'Cause
Right.
you say, no one was able to do this before
Right.
because we had a limit to the it wouldn't
Yeah.
crystallize or
Yeah.
like that. And they
Right.
say, well, now we have this new method and
Yeah.
we've overcome the whole
Exactly.
thing. And now it's
Actually,
interesting.
One of my crystal structures only solved 10 years after, no more than 10 years, 10 years after I graduated.
Yeah.
So I got a email from my professor said, hey, we're ready to publish this. I'm like, are you serious? I said, I completely forgot about this.
Nice.
Because the computing power now can actually resolve some of the hydrogens. We couldn't figure out it's an O bridge or OH bridge, so we can never figure out that little hydrogen on there. That's now we can see it. It's just amazing. So that's what it is. So I did publish a paper. Like I had all these publications. Went to industry working for 10 years.
Again.
One paper. You know, everybody's like, what? You know, what do you
That's
do?
so funny.
I keep talking him out to say, I don't need a paper. Leave me out. He's like, no, you're the author. I'm like,
It's pretty nice.
Yeah.
I feel like that, all of that that's interesting because it makes me think about this paragraph, the log line maker,
Yeah.
and how you can connect a literature review, which in like the
Yeah.
humanities or social sciences,
It's like science.
it's embedded in the paper that you're writing, you know, it's embedded in that introduction and throughout the argument and all that, but in the sciences, I know that it's separate, right?
Yeah.
It's like section A, whatever, you know,
Yeah.
literature review, but you could use this kind of idea to connect that literature review to the
Yeah.
rest of the paper, right? So it does have more flow than
Right.
some of the science papers I've seen, which are like, so
Yeah.
we did this,
Yeah.
here's this part, here's this part, here's this part,
I'd
they're
say
like
you
discrete
draw
parts.
a line between the sections and nothing
Yeah.
crosses.
Right.
Yeah, what is the model Rennie said? IMERA?
INRAD.
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 So he says there is a abbreviation INRAD, IMRAD,
AD.
and he says, he asked 1,000 scientists what it is, nobody raised a hand, but this is how we write scientific paper. Introduction, method, results, discussion, and
I think the A is and, I mean, it's like results and, or is it analysis?
analysis and the discussion.
Or I think it's, maybe the A is and. Alright, do you want to look it up?
It's okay.
Yeah. But it's interesting, right? Because you never think about that way, but it's true,
Yeah.
we have
Mhm.
such a strongly templated,
Yeah.
people don't even think it's become second nature, that's how you write your paper. You know, you don't even think about it. Okay, so what do we do now? We're still in the log of.
I think we're done, right?
We're done?
It should be,
We should,
Yeah,
we should be done.
oh, yeah, there's like 5 minutes left.
Hey, it's done? Is it? The bar's off?
Oh, no,
it's-
no, there's like 5 minutes left.
Okay.
But, I mean, it's,
Are we feeling better, clear on this thing now? Well, it seems to be, right? To me.
it helps.
So I think we got ahead of this week. I think the first piece of it was for us to think about. Like the
Oh.
pink ones, I
The
think,
pink one.
were for us to think.
Oh, this first 5 minutes?
Like the question word 5 minutes, I think maybe was for us to think about.
Oh, like not to discuss.
Cause then it like restarted over in the same sequence.
Yeah,
So I think we had like to think about each one of them and then we had
Also, we
like,
didn't have to do it right on the spot.
no, we could have like thought about it, gone through
Okay.
all of them and then gone back to talking about them.
uh-huh.
That makes more sense.
But
Yeah.
yes, it is clear.
Okay.
Yeah. We'll do better next
Yeah.
time. And then also if we get this thing cleared with, I see Chelsea sent this table back to, what is her name? Johanna, because she obviously had a different table, so
Well,
she's calling on different.
And I think that this time of day was much better.
Then